I'm Andy Parr, and you're watching The Gadget Guru. Here with me, and he's a little bit far apart, but there's a reason for that, is Robert Hitt, who's the service training manager for Prevost. We're going to be talking about tag axles and when is the appropriate time to lift them. And all that starts right now on The Gadget Guru. You might have already met this guy in a previous segment, but this is Robert Hitt, who's a service training manager for Prevost. And we're at Prevost in Jacksonville. Now, I'm running a series, Prevost for Newbies, and I'll put a link right up here above in case you want to catch up. Today, what we're going to do is to talk tag axles, and the focus is, when is the appropriate time to lift them and let them down? Now, there's a reason we're sitting so far apart. This way, you can see the wheels, the ones we're talking about. And I guess let's start with the basics. Remember, this is a series for newbies. This is your drive axle up here. You have two tires on each side here. This is your tag axle on the rear. There's one tire on each side. Now, what's the purpose of a tag axle?
So a tag axle or a trailing axle is there for the additional weight that we have with the new engines. When we went from the 8V92 and we increased capacity of our suspension and capacity of the coach, went to 45 footers, it was necessary to go ahead and have that live tag or trailing axle.
The reason we're doing this segment, I was reading a forum thread recently, and there was a whole discussion about whether or not it's even necessary to lift the tag axle. Now, I had met with an entertainer coach company at one point, and they told me that they instructed their drivers to hit that button or throw that lever to lift the tag axle every time they took a 90-degree turn. So I figure, you're the expert. I'm going to let you do the talking now.
So one of the key things to remember, Andy, is this coach pivots on these dual tires on this axle right here. So your drive axle is going to go ahead and pivot the coach whenever you make that sharp turn, which means your tag axle is actually going to drag and scuff back and forth.
So when you see those marks in a parking lot, it looks like somebody did a donut. It could be somebody dragging their tag tires.
That's money. That's tire rubber. So a couple of different things to be easier on the coach from the torquing of the actual suspension, as well as the scuffing of the tires. We reduce that weight on the tag axle by releasing the air pressure inside the bag. In some cases, even lifting the tag. Most of these motorhomes are heavy enough to the point where once you lift the tag, the weight of the vehicle is now on 4 bags versus 6. And what that means is we're asking 4 bags to do the weight of 6, what 6 normally do, and the coach is going to go ahead and lower a bit. So what's happening is the air is coming out of the trailing axle or the tag axle, and we are lifting that axle with a chain. So what happens is now the weight that the tag was carrying, which the tag axle is rated at 14,000 pounds, is now transferred to the drive axle, which means our bags are compressed on the drive axle. So when you ask, is there a right time to lift my tags? It depends on your surroundings. So if I'm going up an incline, then I'm not going to want to lift my tags because that's going to take the back end of my coach down.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of getting to know your vehicle that becomes very important out there when you're lifting your tags.
Okay, so if I'm on a stop sign and I'm taking a 90-degree right turn, and I'm going to have to be turning fairly tight, will my turning radius be decreased by lifting the tag? Does that change your pivot point when the tag is in the air?
It's gonna turn quite a bit sharper because now we don't have the resistance of dragging the back end of the coach around. So I believe the measurement is 5 foot decrease when we look at the turning radius total if we're doing a circle.
And when you're turning into another lane, that 5 footer, if you have a tree here on your passenger side rear corner, that could make a difference there.
It's significant. Now, if you look at some of the advice coming from coaches maybe a bit older, what they'll say is when you're in mud, that gives you better traction on the drive axle.
How about you? I try to stay out of mud.
Yes, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Anything built since 2007 will have our stability program on it. So with our stability program, we're actually using the ABS valves and the stability program to give you traction control. So anything built after 07 or with 07 emissions forward will have traction control.
There was something that I read somewhere, and I don't remember where, that said that on some Prevost coaches, that when you're making a turn, once you get to a certain angle, I don't even remember what it was, that the tag would automatically lift. Fact or fiction?
For commercial vehicle use, we offer that to transit agencies on the commuter coach. It is also offered as an option out there in the world. But basically, we put a switch on the pitman arm, and when we're below 5 miles an hour in a certain steer angle, we go ahead and we don't lift the tag, we let the air out of the tag bags. And that allows the driver to make a little bit sharper corner without having to think about flipping that tag axle up and down.
I noticed, like, let's say when I have lifted the tag, I'm in a parking lot situation, and if I forget to let it down, I believe is it when I get up to 20 miles per hour, it will beep to notify me.
Correct.
Okay.
Now that was a change that we made with electronic system. What we found is some of the entertainer drivers in this market also, when they were pulling into venues late at night and they needed to lift the tag to maneuver, they would wake everybody up in the coach. So what we did is we took that alarm away. So on newer coaches, the alarm only comes on at speed, like you were describing. On older coaches, some of them come on the minute you flip the lever.
So in summary, any words of wisdom to motorhome users? What is the appropriate time to lift your tag axle?
When you're lifting your tag, number one, anytime you have to make a sharp corner, you're worried about tire scuffing. Also, be very aware that if you're hauling a trailer, it's going to change how we pull that trailer, because when we increase the turning radius or decrease it, if you will, we also increase the tail swing.
For someone like me, I'm towing a Jeep Wrangler behind me. When I lift the tag, how is that changing the dynamic?
You're pivoting directly here. So when you're not lifting the tag, you're creating drag on the back axle, which means that we're not going to be able to turn as sharp, which means our tail swing won't be as much. When I lift that, now I decrease my turning radius. I'm pivoting more directly here. I have no resistance here, which means my tail swing increases.
So you'll have a tighter turn, and you might pick up another foot or so of tail swing because you've moved your pivot point forward.
Correct.
Okay, any other words of wisdom on when not to lift your tag? I know you mentioned don't do it if you have an extremely heavy load or if you're going on an incline. Anything else that we should know?
I think know the surroundings. Make sure that you're not going into a driveway with a high entryway. Get to know how your coach reacts to tag lift before you need to use it.
Okay, now any questions, comments, or opinions, just leave them below right here on YouTube, on GadgetGuru.com, or on your favorite motorhome forum. If you like this video, you're going to like this one. And if you like that one, well, you might even like this one. So that's it for now. I'm the Gadget Guru, Andy Pargh.